Hello, everyone. We're back. It's Tech Talk time, which is the good old weekly podcast where we chat about stuff. Obviously, today I'm recording this on the Saturday instead of the Friday, and that's basically just because of the fact it was super busy Friday because the sales got announced. So that's why things are a bit all over the place, and hopefully everything goes back to normal by Monday. With the sales coming, there's going to be a bunch of other stuff that's going around, so shouldn't be too bad. We're just going to play some Naval and chill and go through all the questions. But yeah, we had sales this week. Obviously, recording this video now, there is a bunch of videos that will come out tomorrow from recording, but you guys will have already seen it when this is public on the YouTube channel. So yeah, we're in a really weird time. But yeah, those videos are really cool. So there's a lot of cool stuff which is coming in the future, looking at different stuff. Tarkov has decided to set itself on fire for the 50th time, but as usual, people will just forgive it and then go back to it, as they always do. So yeah, it's kind of crazy what's going on. So yeah, let's go through the tech talk. Let's talk about a few things that are around, then we'll take some questions on the stream stuff, and then kind of go from there. Last week's tech talk was pretty chill, and we're kind of getting into the period of time where everything goes a bit nuts, so should be quite fun to go. Let's see what we have. By the way, if you want your questions or thoughts put into the tech talk, make sure to stick them in the comments of it so we can go through it. We're also dual streaming now, so we're live streaming on Twitch and YouTube at the same time, and maybe I can add some more stuff in. We'll see, depending on if I get all this stuff sorted out. So if you want to check out stuff, you can do. Everything's much more available for everybody. So we first of all have Maxwell with the good old timestamps. That's very kind of him. Always kind of Maxwell to do that. So thank you very much. Then we also have Away with You, Valbega. Let's see. Hey there, Tech. Hello. Seeing how we avoided the stun mechanics debacle reminded me of another mechanic that I don't see being used. I remember that back when the Mighty Sturm Tiger was added, we got that PvE event where we had the option to take control of the AT and AA guns. Was that mechanic implemented somewhere? Was it for the drones? Because I remember drones being implemented before the event, but I might be wrong. Nonetheless, I was just wondering about it, since I got a crazy idea that might just work. It's also historical, our favorite phrase in War Thunder. Anyway, hope you have a great week. Yeah, you could control the AA or the AT guns or the Goliath, right? Like that's basically how it all was, right? Which was pretty cool. And I feel like the way to add that in is like a kill streak thing in arcade, right? Or maybe just randomly in an event every once in a while. But I don't think we've seen a fully fledged lookout on that, apart from, as you said, drones and also hydroplanes. So hydroplanes that are on ships, you can quick switch between them, which is actually really cool. So that it's basically just the same mechanic as that, right? It's being able to control two things at the same time, where one of them is controlled by a AI, and the other one is just controlled by whatever. So basically, that's it. That's what the mechanic was. And there was a few other times where it's been used in War Thunder's history. The major problem with it was actually desync between a lot of the stuff, which obviously caused quite a few issues for people, because what you were seeing on your screen, it was as if like it had to load two instances of the game at the same time, and if certain things were too far away from each other, then it would just cripple itself. And this happened quite a lot in War Thunder's history over time, but I don't seem to see that happening too much anymore, so it seems to be okay. I like the idea of it. I do worry a little bit about the fact that there is going to be so many mechanics nowadays in War Thunder that what's going to happen is we're going to get to a point where you're going to have to be controlling multiple things at the same time. Like, I already feel like there are so many things to focus on, especially the high echelons of War Thunder, just like, kind of going around it and seeing what's going on, that it's just a pain to keep on track of it. Like, it is actually exhausting. I know people talk about, like, in air, oh, well, you got to worry about the RWR, you got to worry about, you know, where your missiles are going, you got to worry about your positioning and stuff, and it's like, yeah, that's fair, it can be annoying, but in ground, you can get attacked from any angle, you need to see people from 10 kilometers away sometimes, or even more, and then also, at the same time, you need to see the drones coming overhead, you need to sometimes scout people, you need to see which angles people are coming from, you have to look at the map all the time, see what's going on there. Like, there's a lot of kind of sensory overload stuff that is happening. And overall, that eventually gets to a point where there's just too much of it. And it's really hard to kind of figure out what's going on. And I feel like in War Thunder, we're not there yet, even though sometimes it is just like, what the hell just happened? You know what I mean? But it's something to think about going forward, right? Like, the stimulation is very important in video games, but also non-stimulation, like relax time, is also important. And the games, some of the games that I've been playing recently, so we played Manor Lords, right? Now, Manor Lords is basically a town builder. It's a town/city builder where you build a town, and then you take over other provinces around the town. So there is a little bit of fighting, but it's not really the huge thing. It's all about setting up your civilization to work in harmony together, and it works really well. It's fantastic to play. I had a great time with it, and I don't know whether I would want to play it again until, like, they add more content, because it feels like a one and done kind of thing for me, like, because, well, we did everything in it, but there was times of high action and high octane and stuff going on, and then there was also downtimes, right? Now, in War Thunder, you don't get the downtimes. You only get that when you basically either start the game or finish the game, and that means that when you're actually playing it, there's usually quite a lot of stuff going on, and it can be very hard to track for people, and therefore can just be a pain to go through. So you do have to be careful of that. We'll have to see if they do anything to change it. I don't think they will. I think it'll be more on the individual just to kind of control that stuff, which once again I think is fine. Like, there's no issues from my end on that, but it's just something to think about, right? Like, something to at least cogitate. Then we have Bob. Let's see what Bob says. I have a few suggestions to make the stun mechanic fanboys really happy. Ooh, dangerous. They are more realistic, but don't exclude as many players. Oh, fantastic. Number 1, vehicles have a chance to break down based on real-life stats. Yeah, you spawn on the battlefield and you're just broken. That sounds good to me. Every time you lose your vehicle and crew, you'll have to wait for a new one to be assigned to you. Always starting with a level 1 crew, you have to train back up again. That was a suggestion that was made by the dev of Gonna Heat PC, and how he was gonna try and balance the online, like, component of his game, which is just a ludicrous thing. But then also, Dog was saying that Ready or Not has a similar mechanic, where you basically, if you die, you lose that character and you need to use the next one, which is just like, it's crippling as an idea. I can't get behind ideas like that. Like, there's got to be a progression mechanic, and there can't be like a save mechanic in games like that. It's just crazy, right? And that's pretty much what that is. Repairs are deactivated because of obvious reasons. Yep, you just won't be able to repair anything. So you can only sit there for the rest of the match and hope that your vehicle doesn't get destroyed. Yeah, and also at the same time, you shouldn't be able to spawn in more than one vehicle, because your crew is, you know, just there. You can't reload ammo, replenish crew on cap points, because they aren't FOBs. There's no ammo or crew laying around there. Yep, that's a good idea too. I think we should continue with this realism malarkey. No third-person view. And in commander view, he pops open the hatch so the MG can kill him. Sounds good. You won't decide what to play. The game will give you a random vehicle based on the nation and era you select. That would be hilarious. 7, you can only get 1 spawn per match. Sounds pretty decent to me. 8. Game economy is turned off. You as a soldier don't buy new vehicles, you get assigned one. Number 9. Repairing vehicles for SL is disabled, so you'll have to wait until it's finished and hope that the repairs go smoothly. I shouldn't have gone into the comments under those videos, not a healthy place to be. Yeah. What Bob's referring to is the stun mechanic videos. So we did the first video about stun mechanics, which was about obviously them being implemented and thoughts around it. And I did an additional one, which was more of a deep dive into what I've personally seen in other games, and also even in War Thunder itself, and how this stuff will be implemented. And it's only negative. It would only be bad. Like, there's a reason why this is a game and it's not real life. I think when it comes to War Thunder, they already do a pretty good job at trying to balance the whole realism side of things with fun/gameplay side of things. I think overall it's great. But when you start getting in mechanics that depreciate away from the fun side of things, because some people want it to be more realistic in a way, that's when the game starts to fall apart in its entirety. And there's certain areas of the game which have done that. You know, the missile SAMs just being pretty much worthless nowadays compared to all of the vehicles that are coming in, like a lot of the CASP vehicles. The fact that they now have to fully rebalance a lot of those vehicles because of the fact that they annihilated a bunch of the CAS areas for that. And then also a lot of the other mechanics that they've just thrown in, which is just crazy. I don't understand how you can sit there in one breath and be like, hey, so you know what? I want these concussion mechanics in the game because they're realistic and people should feel realism in the game. And then in the same breath, turn around and go, but I also want my crew to automatically heal itself in the middle of a battle. It's like living in a crazy place. It's like living in an insane asylum sometimes, because you will see the same people say stuff like this, and it's always like the same 10 or 20 characters pushing the same narratives with a bunch of just people with their heads chopped off just following around. And I feel really bad for people who actually do have medical issues or do have, you know, stuff, who just want to enjoy games. And they don't necessarily mind about the realism side of things. They just want to have fun. And then you have these other people who just sit there and go, no. Everything has to be as realistic as possible, as inaccessible as possible, and affect you mentally and physically to play it, because I want to be able to cosplay as an army dude because I'm too overweight to be able to get, you know, my fitness levels up, or too dumb for them to accept me, which is quite a feat nowadays, by the way, with the recruiting that's going on. And it just sucks. Or you have people who were in the armed forces and they want to relive the glory days in a video game, which is even crazier. But whatever. It just sucks, man. It just sucks. But luckily, the first battle on this side of things has been won. And there's going to be many more of them, again, because these types of mechanics never disappear. Because there's always some developer who sat there going, you know what, I want to change this thing, and I am one of those realistic guys, and I want this thing to be as realistic as possible. And it's just going to suck. It's just going to suck. Sad. Then we have Striker. Long time no see, TEC. Well, nice to see you. Hopefully you're doing good. It's always nice to see old faces. With long-range static SAM sites being located in the files, you think it's already to be expected in your expansion of the ARB and the sim game modes with the coming Fox 3 update? Extra, the sensor view still doesn't show missiles, bombs, and rockets after launched on Xbox. Oh, that's kind of weird. Did you see how people were abusing that new mode? How there was a lot of people who were using it. They were basically in live battles able to turn on the sensor view, so they could see everything that was going on. Pretty fun, right? This is why we can't have nice things. Does the VEG-40 have proxy rounds? It used to, but they removed them. But yeah, I honestly think they're for a revamp of Air. And maybe not a revamp, but an addition of new mechanics. With the rebalancing of a lot of these cast vehicles, right? A lot of the cast vehicles that sit in the game in a Realistic have kind of crazy armaments, but pretty poor flight performance, right? Like the A7, for example, is one of these. The A10, Su-25, the higher BRs, and they're balanced by the fact they have these weird weapons. Well, if they decide to move around some of the BRs of these guys, they might also decide that what they need to do is they need to move around a lot of the other statistics about them too. So that means adding new weapons. So anti-radiation missiles is something that a lot of these guys can use, and maybe that will be a justification. Like they'll add a modification for these things to have those to keep them up in BR in a Realistic, right? So instead of you just being sat there and having your BR kind of, you know, having to be moved around because you don't really fit the meta compared to ground, or maybe even naval. Maybe the idea is, okay, well, what we're going to do is we're going to give them more capabilities to justify them being higher and give them more targets to hit. And I honestly think that's what they're doing. I think that's what they're doing with these large things. The other thing as well is, you know, with the big old SAM systems or the stationary systems, we did also see them being used in a trailer for tank battles or whatever it's called. It's a game that's affiliated with Gaijin. It's the guys who made Modern Warships. So they're coming out with a new tank game, and that seems to have a lot of the assets that were talked about previously. So wouldn't be too surprising if those turn up. I think they'll probably do what they did with Air previously, though. They'll add it to Simulator, give it a kind of like a test run, try and iron out the mechanics, and then they'll start adding it to Air Realistic, and then from there they'll add bits to Air Arcade where they think fits best, and then do that. Simulator, at least over the years, seems to have been a place which has tested a lot of mechanics. And some of the mechanics get filtered into Realistic, and other ones get filtered into Arcade. Air Arcade still is the most popular game mode when it comes to Air. So a lot of the mechanics don't make it to there because you don't want to piss people off who've been there for years playing that stuff. But yeah, it's kind of interesting to see. I think that stuff will come there this year. Maybe not next update, because next update's obviously going to be focused more on top tier, you know, fucking Fox 3 stuff, which is I don't think it will change the game and that much compared to what we have now. What will change the game is how the missiles interact with the ground, which I'm very worried about actually. I've already seen people chatting about like, well, why don't we make missiles more realistic? So, you know, the higher ones don't just run into the ground because they don't get confused by the ground. Do you want to live in a world where you can't dodge a missile? We already kind of are there, by the way. There's a lot of missiles. It's very, very difficult to dodge. So, you want to add more of them? Okay. I don't want a world where whoever fires first just wins. And it seems like there are certain members of the community who want to keep pushing that idea. But yeah, I'm really worried when it comes to a lot of Air stuff. The next little bits, but not because of the fact that what they're going to add, but more about the fact that there is just this very annoying set of people who always want more, bigger, better stuff. And you don't balance stuff by adding bigger, better stuff. You balance stuff by rebalancing the stuff that is already there. Otherwise, it's just chase the pony, which is what we've been doing for many years in War Thunder. So we have Fossey Kinada. Got mega lucky today and opened 10 boxes. Ooh. and got the 279. I couldn't believe it at first. But guess now I'm a proud owner of one of the rarer things in the game, but also had to post it instantly in your Discord. What do you think the approach that Gaijin is, or why they don't bring back old vehicles and ergo stuff like this exists? Where stuff is so rare that barely anyone has them, with their current state, will ever get access to it. Little add-on question. Well, let's do that first. Gambling is awful right now. I don't, right, okay. I don't know what the crossover is between, like, sports watchers and War Thunder players, but over the last year, I've made a very conscious effort to get back into watching sports. I really enjoy watching rugby, I really enjoy playing rugby, and that's dangerous for me, because I end up breaking myself a lot, but I really enjoy watching it. I watched the NFL season, because that was gonna... I pick a sport, like, every year that I want to watch, and I picked the NFL. I've been watching some of the hockey playoffs since some of the games are on CBC. There's a lot of Canadian teams in the playoffs, which is kind of cool. So I've been watching them, right? Everything is sports betting. Everything is just sports betting now. Every single piece of the kind of show is that. The pre-show is sponsored by a sports betting house. And then what they do what they do is, instead of like analyzing people's statistics, they analyze their odds and go, why do they have these odds? Hey, you can get a blinder on this one, or you can get a blinder on this one. Everything is just betting. And it's the same as esports now. You either go to Saudi Arabia, you go to China, or it's all just weird betting houses. And it just sucks. And it's the thing of our time, just like a few other social issues, which I feel like people are going to look back on in like 20 years and be like, oh my god, how did we get it to this point? You know what's crazy? So I was looking the other day, right? You can bet on the NFL draft. And you can bet when people are being chosen. You know what the craziest thing, though, is? At the UFC right now, there are betting houses which are letting you bet on whether a fighter will come in overweight or underweight. You know what's also nuts about stuff like the UFC? I'm not entirely sure if it's the UFC, but in fighting in general, in most fighting sports like boxing, you can bet on yourself. Right? That's allowed. So you can bet on yourself to win. Right? But just think about the fact that they are expanding it so much to every part of life. And it's just going to be in every part of the culture. And that's what War Thunder's done. And they're going to continue to do it. And it isn't what you gain from it. The fact that you got a 279 is awesome. Imagine if they'd brought an event back where you could grind it out. And where a bunch of other people could get it too. That can never exist anymore. Because of the boxes. And, you know, with the esports stuff going on in War Thunder 2, with it increasing slowly in its popularity, and with a bunch of other things going on too, this stuff is going to be everywhere in War Thunder as well. You're going to start seeing betting sponsorships. I mean, to be honest, you already have seen betting sponsorships with a bunch of the War Thunder guys, and you will see just so much more of this crap. And then it'll get to a point where you won't ever be able to actually have anything, because everything will be a chance to get. That's just mobile games. It just sucks. So yeah, that's my opinion. It's awful. It's really bad. The legislation on it is worthless. And basically 10 years behind where it needs to be. And when you open it up, specifically to children, specifically even just to fragile adults, which unfortunately gaming has a lot of too, you are going to have some horrible consequences. And it's sad. As I said, it's just the addiction nowadays that's allowed. In 10 years, we'll move on to a different addiction that's allowed. And we'll just keep going on in a circle. No longer allowed to really smoke. They're basically banning it from everywhere. Alcohol is one of those things which is a bit topsy-turvy. Drugs are being more allowed, at least around me. And then gambling is going to be the new fix. It's not going to be very fun to watch. Little add-on question, should there be an upcoming Silver Lines 50% decrease of vehicles also coming? Or are they going to stick with the 30% right now? I got so much stuff to ground out, which I was going to buy at once, and the 50% Silver Line saver comes in like in the winter sale thing. They changed the May sale last year. So the May sale used to be kind of the 50%er one, or it used to be basically what the summer sale is now. It seems like they've switched the summer sale and the May sale. So now the sale that you get in June is much more similar to what the old May sale used to be. So it will be interesting to see if you get 50% later on, but obviously right now it's 30%. From like my point of view, there's no way that I can ever tell what side it is, right? Like I'm never able to tell what's gonna come in the sales because I don't look at any new information about that stuff. I kind of like leaving it up to chance. Even though there's a lot of stuff which is like similar or done previously, I try and stay away from it as much as possible because, well, at the end of the day, like you guys, I do enjoy seeing new stuff. I don't, even if it comes to sales and things, I want to see like the different mechanics that they do or the different things that they try. And in this one, they haven't really done anything. It's basically the same as what we saw before. So yeah, but I'm always down for seeing new techniques and new ways they try and sell stuff. It's interesting. Seems like the last few years they've just done a crazy amount in sponsorships. So we have Sipper. I got a question, Tech. What is your opinion on how the Fox 3s are being added next update? How do you think this will affect the game going forward, especially since every single country will be receiving them? I don't think it'll change anything. How do you dodge an active radar homing missile? The exact same way you dodge a semi-active radar homing missile. If we take the current game mechanics that we have right now and we apply it to what's coming in the form of the missile, nothing will change. You'll just have more people who will just fire off their missiles without really thinking, which is basically what people do anyway. They lock, fire. And now with the automatic radar changer, they don't even have to think about, moving around that or anything. The way that you dodge these missiles is you stay low to the ground. Right? And that's good. That's nice. I think that's awesome. It's cool to have a counter. So the question is not about the active radar homing missile. It never was. It never is. Never will be. The question will be, what do they decide to do with the ways that you counter these missiles? Just like how they added the IRCCM missiles, and they changed the way that they interact with countermeasures and they interact with other planes. What we need to see is what other mechanics they change around the active radar homing missiles. The missiles themselves don't change anything, right? Yeah, they added a automatic radar selector, Senpai, so if you're locked onto somebody, it will change and you lose lock with a specific mode, then it will automatically change the mode which fits the best for the current situation to continue to lock the target. They added it last update. So yeah, that's what matters. The actual missile itself makes no difference. And if you don't believe me, we've had active radar homing missiles in the game for a while. And do you fight a Phoenix differently to an R27 or an AIM 7M? Do you? Not really. Like if you like put it down to brass tacks, you know. So yeah, it's more about that. So we're gonna have to see how they change radars. We're gonna have to see how they change the optics on these types of vehicles and or the radar seekers themselves, and see how they implement them. But the thing is, the testing environment that they had, which was on the dev server, was pretty useless. And that's because at the end of the day, like, people weren't there to test the missiles. They were there to play the high tier vehicles as usual. But yeah, you're gonna see a million videos about, oh, look at this missile, look at this missile, oh, look how this is shaping the game, blah 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 blah. I've got to be honest, I just don't. I'm just not interested in it. Like, it's. I've said this for many years, and I find talking about top tier mind numbing. Because none of it matters. Because it'll all change in a few months. And then you can just make the same videos again. It's like someone was asking me the other day about, what is my opinion on American ground top tier? They have very good CAS, if used properly. Their Abrams are suffering because they're run by dodos, and they don't have spore liners. So all of the people who wanted to play the meta vehicles at top tier, which is a lot of people, just went to go play the Leopards and the STRVs. So they just cream everything now. Seems pretty simple to me, you know? Predictions for the next major update. Read the roadmap. Simple. So yeah, it's just one of those things which is, like, we'll see it when it comes, but will it fundamentally change anything? The missile itself won't, no. So we have user. To be honest, I remember people using top tier air sim for the Jaguar IS event. I'll always take air sim over ARB for spading and unlocking while playing bombers. Too easy to die in ARB, and fighter mains just complain. Air sim gives great rewards and a relaxed game mode. Yeah, which is why it's a problem. Which is why I can never take simulator seriously.
Hello.
I'm doing the tech talk, Freeman. Here, I'll be back in a sec. Good old Freeman. Or would you like to answer a question, Freeman?
Sure. I'll give my wisdom.
Okay. Well, to that one, yeah. The reason why sim is kind of crazy is because of the fact that people just use it for grinding. So it's just how it is. It's why I can't ever really take it too seriously. So this is from Flyboy. Man, I got the KV-1B from a camo chest. Don't remove it, please, but add it to the Swedish tree as a G premium. Thoughts?
I believe it should be an event vehicle. If it's a GE premium, there'll be too many. Because if you see every time there's an event, they come out, and when they come out, it becomes very frustrating. Besides, it loses uniqueness. We already have it in Russia already as a premium. Why I'm as a GE premium? I think it's better to just make it as a event vehicle.
But don't you think there'd be a ton of them that'd turn up if it was an event vehicle at once? Wouldn't that, like, bump its BR or cause a bit of an issue?
It's already been what, 7 years. They're not gonna increase that thing's BR.
You don't think?
Is they? I know they finally increased the B of the T-34s, but if they start increasing the B of the KB-1B, it doesn't work out. It can't survive 5.3. The gun is not enough, and lately it's just getting penetrated. Like I haven't been able to go on my rampage for a while now, Tech. That's just people already know the weakness. Yeah, people already know the weaknesses already. I get my breach cut off, or I just get bombed because you have experienced players that know what to do. Of course, if you fight a complete scrub new player, they're gonna get annihilated. But a veteran players or players that play the game at least like 3 or 4 months, They know what to do.
I think the simple solution to the KV1B issue is to move it to rank 2. Let's do that.
But except it's not gonna work out because it still gets the privilege of an event vehicle. Maybe not for the G
Does it?
vehicle for the yeah, because it's an event vehicle. The the German one is an event vehicle. The Russian one will be I don't think it's gonna get the advantage for the Russian vehicle or the Sweden Tech 3 KB1B if it gives like the GE, if it's like a GE purchase. But if it's an event one, it will get the benefit because you know, like it says like every event vehicle should have the ability to grind events.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know if it's labeled as an event vehicle or not. Because it was an event vehicle, and then they brought it back in the Warbond shop, which was kind of weird.
Yeah, that's how I got mine.
Yeah.
That's how I got mine. It was November.
Yeah.
I can check.
Yeah, I'm guessing it would be. Yeah, you could have a look. But yeah, they are gonna add some kind of KV to the Swedish tech tree, because I remember that leak list, like the dev server leak list or whatever. There was a KV1B in that, which was just sat there, and
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it was not the one that we have though. It was like it was one with like a different gun, like maybe the L11 or something like that. So
an 11 gun.
yeah, so
That
yeah, it's like the standard KV1.
what? That gun is bad.
Yeah, I know.
If they do that, it's gonna be 3.7.
Yeah, I'd have to have a look at it again, that leak list, but yeah, it was from the last update's dev server. Like there was a Finnish KV1. I just can't remember which one it was.
Yeah, it won't be that bad. Like 3.7 Sweden, it's pretty good.
It's very
But
strong.
yeah, very strong. SAV T30. Well, I don't know about T34 anymore. So if I go to Germany and look at my KB1B, how do you know it's like it gets the privilege of uh ability to ground events? I forgot.
You probably hover over it and it tells you what type of vehicle it is, right? Where is it?
Does it? Wait.
Yeah, I don't know.
Event vehicle engineer. Oh, I see. No, it doesn't. I don't have that. Yeah, I don't have that.
Yeah, it
So you're
doesn't
right.
say where it's from. So yeah, just move it down to rank 2. That's that solves it. Solves the issue with it.
But
because then veteran
that only
players don't use it to grind stuff. So
but that means that but there is still a way to use this. Because if I look at the tech tree right now, if I spawn at least one rank 3, it'll get the privilege, right?
yeah, so you've got the Stirrer Mill at 4-3, right? So move the Stirrer Mill to rank 2. And then
German Sherman.
Move the German Sherman down to rank 2 then.
Move the Churchill.
How many people do you think have the German Sherman for a start?
The numbers are slowly increasing every November when there's like a sale.
Yeah.
There's the KV2, the Churchill.
Yeah, just move them all down. The only reason they didn't move them down is because they're premiums. They moved down a bunch of other nation stuff that weren't premiums.
Here's another thing. Oswin, Wirbelwind, Stuart, Flak Panda. This because that issue is you see there's a hole here. You have to move all the vehicles that you can spawn in. That's rank 3 to rank 2.
Sounds good.
Including planes.
Yeah.
I don't agree.
Go crazy.
I don't agree.
Then we have Liam Christensen. Hey Tech, do you think Gaijin should put more focus on low to mid-tier editions, or does the current editions trend suit you? My last question is if you were to add any British SPA, what would it be? The Green Mace? I mean, I prefer mid-tier stuff, compared to like top-tier stuff, but I honestly think nowadays we actually get a good mix of everything. There's plenty of stuff to grind out. Even in the last update, we got a lot of early stuff. The problem is, a lot of it is copy and paste, so it's not really gonna get people that interested. But when it comes to like the battle pass and event vehicles and things, and also just the general updates, I think we get a good mix of everything. I don't think there's anything that I look at and think they haven't been treated well. Like there's, and you know, the other thing at the end of the day is there's a ton of low and mid tier stuff. Like there's a crazy amount. See you later, Teach Me JS. Look after yourself, man. So yeah, I'm generally fine with the flow that they have going. I think when you take everything into account, it's fine. For British SPAA, there is a weird truck slash half track which had access to I think it was an Orlecan mount, which was like a triple stacked Orlecan 20mm mount on it. Which looks completely ridiculous and would be pretty much worthless in the game, but it looks cool. So I'm going for that one. That one would be pretty fun. The mobile rapier system would also be quite interesting to see, but overall, I don't know how effective that would be in the game. Do you have anything you'd want to see in the mid-tier streaming?
Sherman with a flamethrower, a Stewart with a flamethrower. What else? A KB1 with a flamethrower. Because there's a lot of open top vehicles at that PR, and if I have anything that's a little faster than the crocodile tank with the flamethrower, it would be really, really fun.
What do I think will release next for jets? Hungarian MiG-23. So we have Maxwell. Hi TEC, hope Easter finds you well. I'd like to say two things this time. Firstly, the Brits. What's the difference between a Comet 1 and an Avenger other than APDS? Am I supposed to play the same thing with an extra round at 5.3? The Avenger is a lot faster. It's a lot more of a mobile setup than the Comet. It has a lot less armor though on the turret. It has a different targeting speed and obviously moves around a little bit differently, but that's pretty much it. Right? So at least in my opinion, that's the difference. It's the mobility factor that's changed it up. The vehicle isn't bad, the Avenger. It's just very annoying against Cass, because Cass will end up, you know, doing quite a lot of damage to you, and there's not really a ton you can do. But it's worth it. I wouldn't say it's bad. It won't take too long to grind through either. Secondly, I'm really interested in top tier tanks, but the highest tank I have is the Leo A1A1. Should I start grinding for the 2PL or something? Because I don't want to be stuck spitting mid-tier vehicles forever. I don't know if I want to put money into the game yet. I would have done so if my PC was good, so I might upgrade that first. What do you think? Always focus on secondary factors first, or I mean, I suppose it depends how you see them. Focus on everything else that isn't War Thunder first. So if you feel like you would benefit from spending your money somewhere else, such as into a computer or into something that can help your daily life, obviously go for that. It's also $20 for 180 days of premium right now, which isn't actually that bad. But yeah, if you basically research a high tier squadron vehicle and just have that and nothing else, you're gonna have a really bad time. You're not gonna enjoy it. It's gonna be really bad, and it's not gonna give you the taste of what you actually want out of top tier. I understand that it takes a long time to be able to grind out a tech tree to get to the high echelons, especially if you don't have premium. But if you decide to take the shortcut route, you will just become one of those guys who gets annoyed at everything and doesn't like the game, and ends up playing it because they feel like they have to, because they put so much time into it and nothing else. The enjoyment out of War Thunder is playing different stuff and trying different things, not necessarily just going for the top tier to play it and experience it. Because top tier is one of those areas which many people enjoy, but also for some reason, it's a destination for many. And when many people get there and reach that destination, they don't enjoy it. So don't worry about it. Play the game or see the game visually in a different way. And that will help you so much more than, you know, researching a high-tier vehicle and going from there. You'll have a much better time. If you're already at the A1A1 as well, there isn't too much difference between that playstyle and stuff like the Leopard 2 and then the later Leopard 2s too. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. So we have Mean Greenie. I'm not seeing any timestamps as usual. Anyone able to tell me where they are? Maxwell did them, but as usual, you know, it's a volunteer thing, so the timestamp stuff is I don't know what to say. Stuff don't come for free. Alright, here we go. So we have Atlas Row. Hey TEC, was wondering what your thoughts on the next possible aircraft coming to top tier Germany would be. I asked this as according to what I've heard, Gaijin stated every nation will be getting Fox 3's next update. Yes, they've basically said it multiple times now. Do you think Germany will see the F4F ICE or some other craft to fulfill the role of carrying Fox 3s? The ICE makes the most sense. It probably will be a vehicle that will be overshadowed by many others, but it makes the most sense. There are many others that they could add, but I don't think they will. I think right now they'll just add in the ICE just to basically placate, or what they'll do is they'll add Fox 3s to pre-existing vehicles that are already there. But the ICE would be the one to add. It's basically a standard Phantom that was... There's a lot of people been asking for the ICE for a long time. And I think right now in the game's history, the ICE would come in and pretty much get battered. Unless they really decided to buff it to an extreme level with additional mechanics. Fox 3 is active radar homing missiles, Abby. So basically, missiles which once you fire them, track independently from the plane. So they track themselves. That's basically what it is. You have Fox 1, Fox 2, and Fox 3. Fox 1 is semi-active radar homing missiles. Fox 2 is IR-guided missiles. And Fox 3 is active radar homing missiles. And there's probably a Fox 4, but I don't know what it is. Maybe anti-radiation missiles? No idea. Will War Thunder get aircraft carriers? They already have them. Right, so then we have Common Sense. Hey TEC, with the recent break in between event vehicle grinds, I've been going back and spinning rank 1 tanks. And noticed I'll get battle trophies with free modifications spun up multiple times. This happened. Probably once every 6 or 7 battles. At first I was kind of annoyed, because I don't ever recall, I'm sure it's happened once or twice, getting a free modification at higher ranks, and that's just kind of a classic Gaijin screwing us thing. But then I just chucked and looked at it glass half full, and that it's great for new players to grind out rank 1 quickly and start getting into the meat of the game, and to the point where they can do dailies. That's all for today. Cheers. Yeah, so there's a lot of mechanics in the game which are designed for new player retention, which back in the day and even today is one of the largest challenges that many games have. Trying to hook you in. You know, if a lot of people will download something and then play it maybe for like 30 minutes, an hour, and then just put it down again, right? So that is an example of a mechanic where, you know, it depreciates over time, right? So as you play higher ranks, you're going to get a lot less of that stuff, but at lower ranks, you're going to get a lot more because they want to hook people in. And yeah, it's the way to look at it is either, you know, see it as a positive thing where people can get stuff quicker when it comes to the game, which is nice, or you see it as a negative thing where it's, you know, a marketing scheme to be able to keep people playing. But put it like this. If you have a system which gives something positive out to a player, right? And also at the same time, it is a benefit to both parties. Is it a positive or a negative? Or is it just more of a neutral or a positive? It's the whole idea of trading, right? Like microeconomics. If I have something that you want, and you have something that I want, we can come up with an idea where it's mutually beneficial for both of us. If I want to have fun and enjoy games, but also I want to progress, and you want my time and my money too, we can come to an agreement where that works for both of us, or both parties. The problem with that is in this scenario, it's completely controlled by one of the parties, which is where, you know, a lot of people get aggravated from, because you have no control on what happens in that setup. But that still doesn't mean it can't be mutually beneficial. It just means you lose control of the scenario. Then we have Driver. Hey TEC, I think personally that they should separate World War II and Cold War a bit more. Because it's just not fun to fight a T-55 AMD or a Chieftain in the Mouse. Because there's nothing you can do against them in a Mouse, because flanking is not an option. I read a lot in game that people say the Mouse should be 7.3 and not 7.7. Do you agree? No. Or are you more of a fan of a long-range engagement between two heavies, full-on slap fight, or one-tap gameplay and top tier? My thoughts and feelings aren't binary. It isn't the fact that I prefer one or the other. It pretty much is more based on, you know, where the game flows and what I'm focusing on right now. So there isn't really one I like compared to the other. The major thing with that setup is if you move down the mouse to 7.3, it will still see all of the 8.0 vehicles, which is the ones that you're complaining about, like the T-55. So that won't fix your issue. If you want to fully fix it, you'll have to put it down to 6.7, right? Which is just untenable. The issue with this idea of separating World War II and Cold War is any matchmaking that is based on historical bounds is very bad and terrible. And the reason for this is because of the fact that nations have different levels of technology at different times. To give you an example, the Tiger 2P/Tiger 2H was developed in Germany, what, 1943, 1944? The Swedish Tiger, which has just come in for the Battle Pass vehicle, was delivered and used by Sweden from, I think, 1948 to the early 1950s. So that's a vehicle that was built and tested at different times based on the nations, and also used at different times based on the nations. So how do you figure that one out? Like, where do you put it, right? And the other thing, which is unfortunately there, is the mouse is not a good example of World War II technology. Now, what do I mean by this? World War II was an area of time which was an incredibly experimental part of history. One of the things about world wars is they are very good at testing new technologies or trying new things, because there is a lot of money going around, and turns out people don't like dying. So a lot of technologies get developed. That's why if you have a look at like radar, or if you have a look at sonar, if you have a look at radios, if you look at the period of 1935 to 1950, the jump in technology is insane. It's just nuts. So if you take a piece of technology that was experimental in that era, right, but also proven to be completely worthless, which the mouse was, by the way, what ends up happening is you plonk it into a game, trying to fit it into that area where it supposedly fits because of when it was built, you are going to have a very bad time. And that's what we saw with the mouse. And we still see with the mouse today. It doesn't fit anywhere. So, if you decide to move it around in VR and put it down, it isn't that you're making the mouse more historical or realistic, because the vehicle itself is a terrible example of the historical, even ingenuity that was around at the time of 1945, right? And that sucks for it, and it's not very fun. And, you know, that means that that special vehicle that not everybody has access to, by the way, is not in the best position. But it also means that other things don't get abused by this ridiculous piece of technology, which never would have made sense in real life anyway, as a concept. And that's the thing. So, like, it isn't about slap fights between heavies. If you put the mouse down 273, what 6'3 can pen it that is a heavy? You're going to put the 76 Jumbo against the mouse? I don't think it can pen it anywhere. So it isn't the case of like a slap fight. You just can't do anything against it. It just wins. Which is where what ends up happening is you have to bomb the thing. And if you do that, people complain because Cath. So there's no winning. Now we start understanding why they removed it in the first place. What are your thoughts on the mouse, Freeman?
I think it's perfectly balanced where it is. Because they 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 have like they've been fixing the BR by increasing some vehicles that were used to be like 7.7 to 8.0, or some vehicle that was 8.3 to 8.7. Because I've noticed that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I've
There's
been
a bunch of decompression,
yeah. So instead of like I'm fighting something that used to be 8.7, now they're 9.0 now.
Mm.
So I'm fighting something that 8.3 to 8.7. Plus, I played like 2, 3 games with the mouse today.
Yeah.
I mean, last night, and me and my friend Ninja, we survived, and we also carried the game. But here's the thing: we weren't like carrying the game by killing. We were carrying the game by just being big dummy targets
Yeah.
that people just kept busy. Because that's the whole purpose of mouse. Like it's tank that breakthrough by taking all the heat from all the enemies, while your friendlies kill them. Because you're not gonna be able to aim your gun; they're just gonna run away.
Yeah. Yeah, like
Yeah.
a lot of vehicle, like there's a lot more depth to War Thunder than just, you know, one-on-one matchups and how things are played. Like there is in War Thunder, if you can tie up a bunch of enemies just by yourself, and then, you know, if there's a bunch of other factors that are sat around the map, then your team can do pretty well, and overall you can do good. And that's something that the mouse does, even if, you know, it is up tiered. You know, people look at it and go, oh, that's the mouse. Oh, well, I need to deal with that because it's a mouse, right? And that is a part of the game I feel like people forget about. That's very true, Freeman.
And to deal with it, I oh 2 games plane just crashed on top of me and my friend. Just drop the bomb.
Yeah.
That's just because they really want to kill the mouse. They don't want it on the battlefield. Because if you stay in the battlefield, you die a really. It takes a while to kill you because all the crew are all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Like it's a completely different scenario, you know. So we have Islam Zayod. Hey TEC, how's your ear now? A lot better. The swelling on it is pretty much down. There's no pain at all. So my neck is also doing a lot better. So I feel like full recovery. We're nearly there. I'm back to my full workout, so that's usually a sign that everything's good. I'm just sweating a lot right now, but I think that's just because I'm taking in a lot of fluid. So, but overall, I'm a lot better. You know, we've had to deal with a ton of just really annoying little problems the last few like weeks with the body, but now it's getting back up there, which is great. Feels a lot better. My spring allergy has been killing me these days. I start sneezing and I don't stop for a minute. Fun times. Yeah, the hay fever, right? Hay fever sucks. What a pain of a thing that we have to deal with as humans. Anyway, my premium time ended 2 weeks ago, and I've never appreciated premium more. I'm buying 1,000 years of premium next sale. But yeah, the having premium and not having premium, it's two very different worlds, which is why, you know, whenever people ask me like, oh, well, what should I buy from the sale, it's the number one thing is always going to be premium, always, because without premium, they even last year, like, they added even more bonuses to having premium compared to not having them. Like the fact that you'd never have to worry about SL again if you have premium, it's nuts. Like it's absolutely crazy that that's a thing now. So yeah, I would. It's another one of those you don't appreciate it until you don't have it, right? And yeah, it's kind of crazy. So then we have Malkowicz. How is dying in 3 minutes because of 16 enemies clusterfuck less boring? Top tier becomes a lucky missile spam. Even a bot can have a kill because there's a swarm of enemies and you have a 6 to 12 missiles. It's more of a free-for-all game than a dogfight. No one actually plays good, will tell there is any fun in top tier, and it's got horribly worse when they made it 16v16. The game should reward being good, not being lucky. And the game does reward being good through tournaments and also through the ranked battles, which they do every so often. But the problem is, right, if you just promote skill, right, if you just promote skill, why is there a reason to play any other vehicle apart from the best vehicle that's there? Because you're at an automatic disadvantage if you play anything else. Right? And that sucks. And I don't like that world. I think that world's pretty crap. I don't want to live in that world where that's the case. I want people to be able to play different stuff and not be afraid of playing them, because if they don't play the meta thing and if they don't play well all the time, they just get their head smashed in. Right? And that's what happens if you introduce stuff like skill-based matchmaking. If you introduce stuff which is all designed around making it more skillful. If you reduce the amount of people that are in matches, that's what you create. You create a world which is great for people who want to be high octane and fully focused and sorted all the time. What if I just want to have fun? What if I just want to try something new? What if I want to try a different meta? What if I want to adjust to things, right? If you want to go play the competitive stuff or the esports stuff or whatever, go do it. It exists. But that doesn't mean that you have to change the other parts of the game to fit that too. And that's the problem I have, right? That the thing that you are wanting already exists. You just want it to exist more in different areas. But the problem is, by making it exist more in other areas, you neuter other things that exist. But because you don't care about those things, what ends up happening is people get affected and they stop having fun in the places where they used to have fun. But now you have more fun in more areas, and they have no areas to have fun. How's that fair? Where are they supposed to go? And once again, obviously not everybody at top tier finds it dull or boring or shit, because then they wouldn't play it. Unless we just have decided that all top tier aviation players are just masochists. Which, at least from my point of view, I find very hard to believe. So, I don't know. I never liked this narrative that everybody believes this thing, therefore it is true. Because if everybody was not having fun, not enjoying themselves, really having a bad time and getting super angry at everything that's going on, they wouldn't play it. And if they do play it, then they need to set themselves and put them in a bloody mental hospital and work out why they're playing it and what's wrong with them to make them play it. Because that's nuts to me. So yeah. Narratives are narratives. It's time to broaden perspectives. Stop believing that everybody just agrees with what you think. It doesn't work in the world. Some people do find quick action fun. And more stuff going on fun. That's why arcade is the most popular game mode in War Thunder. Because of that. Because it's high action, quick action, you can hammer things, and you can go through. So, what do you say to stuff like that? What's the answer? So we have House of Schmitz. According to the Steam charts over the last month and a half, War Thunder player base count has fallen by the largest percentage since June of 2015. Do you think we've seen War Thunder's peak, or do you think this is just temporary? War Thunder is getting a bit stale in my opinion, but maybe this drop is due to Helldivers 2 or something else? I mean, it's probably a bunch of factors, right? We've had some very popular games come out recently. They've changed a bunch of systems in War Thunder. The other thing is they banned a lot of people. Like, let's be honest, they banned 35,000 accounts. So like it might be that. It might be the fact that the events recently haven't had that many people interested. Think about the last set of events. You had the April Fool's event, which, you know, was cool, but had a lot of bad press when it first came out. And then also, it might be the fact that you had a naval event, which, as we know, a lot less people are interested in. The Jaguar RS event as well wasn't that crazy and interesting. Coming to the end of the Battle Pass, there wasn't a lot of good stuff. The updates, like, can you name the big bangers of last update? Like, what did they add which anybody's talking about nowadays? Because all of the meta vehicles they added were in December, so can you name me any vehicles from the last update which are, like, highly sought after or talked about? Like, even the Alpha Jet, right? I don't know. Is anyone doing that? Hey, Mr. Pure Kindness, nice to see you. You player here, is it really hard to get into a naval battle? Not really. Sometimes it can take a while to get into the first naval battle, but once you're into the cycle, it's not too bad. Most of our matchmaking is like maybe a minute or two. Hey Chieftain Mike, nice to see you. Games are good. We got ourselves the Pages of History done, and also we ended up getting ourselves the Tech Talk done and the Market Distinction, so we're just chilling doing the Tech Talk stuff. But yeah, I mean, when you can pretty much see correlations between when people play and when people don't. And it's usually around events, and it's usually around updates, right? Usually a surge in certain times of the year. And if you think about a lot of the popular games that are coming out, which are pretty cheap, which is nice to see, by the way, there's been a little bit of a shift on what people have been playing. And that's good. War Thunder itself, I don't think has seen its peak. I honestly think War Thunder has been doing insanely well for the last 5 to 10 years, especially when you have a look at the market that's around it, and the fact that it's dominated this area as much as it can. There's only so much growth in that area, so it's going to have to innovate, it's going to have to try different stuff, and I'm sure they will do. But yeah, this is usually the time of the year that it always dips. But I think what House of Schmidt is saying is this dip is higher than previous dips. But also, once again, that's going to happen when you have more people that's around. And also, as I said, they have actually made an active effort to ban people over the last 6 months. which is something that they haven't always done to the same extreme. So that is something to note in this setup. But no, I still think War Thunder's in an incredibly positive place. It's still very high in the Steam charts themselves. It'll be interesting to see the general trends over the year and if they change. But right now, I'm not really too worried. When you have a look at what's gone on the last month or so, like, and what's been available to grind out and what's been there, I think what you'll see is boosts by the end of the year, which is usually what goes on. The fact that they hit 250k online players at the same time last year was just nuts. Crazy to think about. So then we have Taras Levsenko. Hello all, new player here. Do I need to buy premium tanks to kill others? I can only do critical hits if lucky. To kill, it's so rare. Any advice would be appreciated. No, you don't have to buy premium tanks to kill things. The main thing to focus on is I have a playlist of videos on the channel, which is beginners guides to War Thunder, and it's a set of videos that all go through different ideas and different ways that the game works, or different things that are in the game, and how all of the subsystems work. And I would check out that playlist to kind of help you out. But no, the vast majority of the time, I'm not using premiums, and I'm able to destroy people. So, like in this one, right? We have 4 kills, no premiums. So, yeah. So it's just how it goes. But yeah, nice to see you. It's always nice to see new players about. And I feel like there's been a good string of them more recently. Last year there was a ton of them. I don't really know why. There's probably an exodus from another game somewhere. So then we have the Only Lilin. Good day, TEC. Haven't been enjoying the War Thunder swing of things. Cast this, grind that, BR change here, SL gone there. I'm left here to wonder if it's just copious to try and even have a decent time. Like, I've come back to mentality of accepting that it's the way it is. Getting bombed in spawn. Yep, that's the way she goes. Oh, you're killed a light. And the dude immediately spawns a plane to donkey bomb you and proceeds to strafe you until he runs out of ammo. Every single time, I might as well become a masochist. It's not even just top tier, it's just entirety of ground BRs. I think it's actually a lot worse at other BRs than top tier, by the way. Like, I think the CAS issue is way more egregious at the mid tiers. Let's see. So kind of just left War Thunder for a bit to play other games. Stardew came up with a new update, and I've been devouring Arknight's main storyline, a mobile tower defense game. But yeah, sorry about the frustration-filled comment, but to end it on a good note, I've gotten the Chinese M41D and the M60, the 290mm pen top round at 9.0. Called the preset Tough Love, and it's very fun despite him meeting 10-0s and being absolutely crap. After the grind, went back to France and proceeded to get 4 nukes with AMX-30, my love, my joy. The absolute great feeling of wrecking anything stabilized in the BRs, very good time. As always, thanks for the vids. That's all good. Well, that's a healthy attitude to have, right? And that's one I think people can learn from. You know, enjoying something, it's not going well. Okay, just let it go for a little bit and go play some other stuff for a while. You know, one of the cool things recently is like Fanatical was doing a deal where you could buy all of the Game of the Year editions of like the Fallout games for like $30. All of them for $30. Crazy deal. You know, that's like, you know, months worth of content right there that you can just devour and have fun with. And I feel like one of the problems that many people have with War Thunder is this idea that they can't let go for a bit and then come back later on. But it's actually the healthiest thing to do. Like for me, you know, we played Manor Lords, right? And we played through that. I played On Guard. I played a bunch of other games. 9-bit Armies, which was super fun. And I'm looking forward to whenever they add in the new campaign for that one, because I thoroughly, that's the first time in a long time I felt like that type of RTS has actually changed the genre, how I actually see and how I actually play these things, which is really cool. And I'm hoping that, you know, it can continue to do these things. But the main thing is to understand when you're at your point where it's just like, okay, let's go chill for a bit. Let's go play other things. And there's a bunch of games to do that with, and I'm glad that people are doing it. if you're stuck, I honestly think it's not good to play the same stuff over and over again. I think it's good to get a sense of perspective on playing a bunch of different things. And luckily for me, I'm fortunate enough to have that time where I'm able to do that. But I also know that when it comes to like stuff like War Thunder, people can see it as very time consuming and it takes a long time to get through things. But as usual with everything, it's better just to compartmentalize. Play a vehicle here, play something there, and then just go and chill and do something else for a little bit. You don't have to do the same stuff over and over again. Don't break yourself. And yeah, I'm glad we're getting to a point where it is like there's a lot of people where it's like it's okay to take breaks. Because it's supposed to be about what you enjoy. So it's nice. Hopefully we can continue that mentality and we can continue it going forward instead of getting into this mentally broken place where you're just like, screw everything. If you feel like you're even getting close to that, go and enjoy something else, you know? It's what we're here for. We only live once. Go enjoy life. Find something you want to do. Don't get stuck doing things you don't like. So then we have Jerry. Now that we have the M60-2000 and M60 with an Abrams turret, Gajin have got to add the Kampfpanzer M48 mit Leopard 2 term. It's an M48 with a Leopard 2A4 turret. Jesus. Also, the reason you accidentally skipped comments is because when you're almost finished answering a comment, you'll scroll to the next one. And I guess you'll have the current comment on your own, is the one you just answered, and you'll go to the next one. Yeah, I sometimes have brain farts, right? Which isn't great. I should probably stop having the brain farts. But yeah, that definitely happens. I need to get better at that. But I don't see why they wouldn't bring that one along. Was that one designed for transport though? Or was that one actually a fully functioning vehicle? Because I know that there is a difference. Because even in the Second World War, there was a Panzer IV turret that was on a Panther chassis. But they were basically just using the Panther chassis to transport the turrets of the Panzer IVs to places. So it wasn't technically something that actually worked. It was more of just a way of, you know, doubling something like that. But as in designed to transport the turret? Well, no. Basically, they had two things sat next to each other and thought, well, why not? Like, why not just stick them together, right? And but I don't think that was the case with this. I mean, it might be. I don't know. I'd have to look into it. But yeah, why not? Why not do it? I'm kind of looking forward to giving the M60-2000 a go, seeing what happens with it. If it's good, if it's bad. My guess is it's probably pretty middling. Since I've seen quite a lot of them, and I mean it's an M60 hull. Like it's too slow. So like we'll see what happens with it. So yeah, I think there's already vehicles in the tech tree for what do you call it? I think there's already vehicles in the tech tree which are pretty weird on that front for Germany anyway. Like there was always the thing back in the day with the Radkampfwagen, where for some reason with the Radkampfwagen the turret never like worked or it never rotated or something. It wasn't a fully finished turret, but obviously in game it is. So it's just like one of those like weird historical things. We can see what goes on with that. So then we have Linen. The main thing is I'm not against adding the M41 with the Leopard 2 turret. Like, why not? Go crazy. So then we have Linen. I think if I need 800 SP to spawn a CAS, it needs to be overpowered, unless the AA system has a similar SP. No, not at all. No, because planes in themselves are incredibly good compared to a standard AA. Also, at the same time, the idea that an AA system at most BRs is equivalent to a plane is nuts. Like the amount of damage that you can do with one airplane compared to one AA system in the vast majority of situations is just so much more. If you just think about like the Su-25 at top tier, that thing can slam 4 vehicles without even using its brain. The guided bomb machines, that is 3 vehicles without using your brain in most SPAA ranges, where you only have to worry about 1 vehicle now since they just removed the VEEK. Hey, World of Replays, nice to see you. So you have all of these things which don't work in that way. An AA is not equivalent to an aircraft. That's not how this works. Otherwise, tank destroyers should be the same SP costs as everything else, and so on and so forth. It doesn't work like that. Like if you see AAs, a singular AA as equivalent to a singular plane with full ordnance, I don't know. I don't see that at all. And then we have Suri Gurk, which says first. So there you go. As usual, the last comment is also the first comment. Weird way of putting it. What ship is this? This is the Nürnberg, which is the Leipzig class. It is the one which didn't get moved down. The Kern got moved down. But this one, for some reason, not. So it's got rapid firing guns for the good old 150s. And overall, not too bad. Alright, so that's the end of the questions for the Tech Talk. Do any of you guys who are live have any questions or thoughts or additions? Do you have anything, Freeman, that you want to add? Freeman? He's died. You got the A2D1 and you love it? Yeah, it's pretty cool. Fun little plane. Goes pretty zoom. Reliability, active infantry, mines, FOBs, support vehicles, and War Thunder when? You know, I saw a post the other day about Reforge, right? The Armor 3 edition, which was, or Reforger or whatever. People were asking why don't people play it compared to Armor 3? And there was just laundry lists of features that it was missing. But Reforger is such a weird concept to me. It's just an idea. We're gonna get you to pay for this product so you can test a new like what do you call it? A new game engine that we're working on. And people are like, yeah, that sounds good to me. Seems weird, but yeah. Who knows? Maybe we'll see more of that stuff going forward. Let's stop with the mines, you know. When will you join Freemanism? I think I'm already kind of part of it. I like the idea of Freemanism. Don't really agree with the methods. That's been the main issue between the ideological difference between Freeman and I. But the main thrust of the ideology, I think, definitely vibes with me. Need to move. Let's see. Got the Ostfriesland from the gambling box. Is that any good? Just while I consider if I have a question. Nah, it's not great. It's the Ostfriesland is fine at its BR, but it doesn't fight at its BR. So it's a bit of a club machine. Or get clubbed, sorry. Kind of sucks, but c'est la vie. It's not terrible, it's just, once again, it's quite impressive by Gaijin, actually. So what they've done is they've set up like a top tier, right, of the game. So whether it be aviation, whether it be ground, whether it be naval. And what they've done is they've set up like a bunch of top tier bangers, and then also given people premiums to buy to be slightly under top tier, but still face those top tier vehicles. So, straight up, just sending the lambs to the slaughter. But the Ostfriesland has really nice HE on its guns. So you can always pop things, which is quite fun. So, never forget. That's quite nice. Any guess when we'll get subs? So usually the second update of the year is more of a naval-focused one in the history of War Thunder. So if we're going to get them at some point this year, it would be the next update. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Hey Zoya, nice to see you. Hopefully you're doing good. Yeah, just been chilling, you know. Happy to get all the sales stuff done, and obviously now chilling, which is nice. You're gonna do some more Panzer IV shenanigans and use your stream as background audio? Oh, good luck. Be careful of that Panzer IV-J. It doesn't have a great turret ring. Will we see FPV drones? What is an FPV drone? Do you think maps at top tier should be made bigger? I feel like it's a constant spawn camping mess in 90% of the games. A lot of the maps... So in the map pool at top tier, you have a lot of large maps. You know, we saw American... not American Desert. Red Desert a few times. We saw Kursk and, you know, we saw... Don't think we saw Pradesh, but that's because I have it banned. So the large maps are there at top tier. The reason you don't see as many as you would think is because of the map rotation filter, where a lot of people ban those large maps. Oh yeah, we saw Volkolamsk a bit too. So you got to work out why people are liking the smaller maps and disliking the larger maps, you know. Let's see. Is there a legitimate reason you could think of for a bunch of minor nations to be ignored in the most recent BR changes? Also, good afternoon. Do you mean in the aviation ones? Italy wasn't ignored because they moved the G91s, right? So at least there was that. Or at least they moved the Y and the YS. The problem that a lot of... So let's think about it. The 87s that are at 87 nowadays, so you got the British vehicles, the Scimitar, the Swift, the Venom, all of that stuff. I actually really like the Scimitar, and I really like the Swifts. I think they're super powerful vehicles, and they donk on Sabres and MiG-15s for breakfast. Right? I'm one of those crazy dudes. Yeah? Because they do. The Venom, not so much. The Venom is an oddball. Which is why it's weird that it's there. But I honestly think a lot of the vehicles that they haven't moved down are strike aircraft, right? Or they're vehicles which sit in that area, which they're waiting for a few months to then be able to try and balance, which is a terrible idea, but that's basically what they're doing. Now, I'm hoping that going forward they will rebalance that stuff sooner than 2 months, but we'll have to see. Who knows? First person view drone? Oh, we kind of already have that, don't we? You can just press V on the drone. But yeah, it does suck that a lot of those machines were forgotten about, mainly stuff like the Venom, some of the G91s. But the fact is, we're gonna see they don't think they should be moved down, and then in 2 months they're gonna move them down. I think it would be better to move them down now, but they've decided that's not good, and I would like to know why. But they didn't give any reasoning for that. They just said, meh, dunno, right? Can you explain how the repair system works? I lose my engine, it takes like 30-40 seconds, and I'm seeing dudes fix it by the time I can spawn back in. On your crew skills, so every vehicle has a crew skill, right? So you can see the crew skills here. Oh no, you can't because the thing's in the way. So you see these crew skills here, right? On the crew skill, there is, for tanks, which I'm guessing is what you're talking about, there is a field repair crew skill. If you max out your field repair crew skill, which is an average skill across all of your crew, so basically it takes into account all of the numbers and then divides it by how many crew you have, yada yada. What that means is you repair faster. So that's how that works. If you have more crew, or if you have better crew skills, you will repair faster. And also, if you have more crew in your vehicle, you will also repair faster. So if you get hurt or damaged, it's better to, you know, repair if you have more crew than less crew. Also, expert crew and aced crew increase these amounts by a ridiculous amount. Double them, in fact. So, yeah. People can repair super quickly with certain vehicles thanks to that. I have a whole set of videos on crew skills and what goes on with them. What's your thoughts on the new wishlist thing? How will it affect the game going forward? Don't think it'll affect much, apart from it'll give Gaijin more data on what to sell you. So I think what they'll do is they'll probably do more offers. You know how they did a bunch of special offers over like January, February, where they were like testing the water to see what people would buy from certain things? Like, and a lot of the offers got progressively either better or worse, depending on if you bought stuff. They're obviously testing the waters on what people want or what people don't want when it comes to minor purchases. Because the way that you actually make somebody a cash cow is you make them make a ton of minor purchases instead of a major purchase, which would be seen as a large high-tier vehicle. One of the problems that War Thunder has is the narrative around buying things is, oh, well, you got to buy a top-tier premium. Got to buy that, got to buy that, got to buy that. Well, with this amount of information that they're going to get with the wish list, and also with the information that they got from doing those like special sale things, they can work out more effective strategies to sell stuff to you. And it might not even be to sell stuff to you specifically, it might be to sell stuff to your mates. Or it might be a way of being like, hey, did you know it's this guy's War Thunder anniversary? Do you want to buy this thing for him? It will be 30% off, and we'll give you a thing for it, right? So it's a way of intermingling, you know, camaraderie, social systems, and money, which is perfect for a company because if you get a bunch of people together who enjoy playing stuff together and also buy stuff together, then you get more sources of income than just a single person. So yeah, it's just more about them getting more data on how to sell you things. Yeah. Hey Rock, nice to see you. I just invested $100 into energy drinks. My man. So leading on from what I said about map rotation, how do you fix it? I saw a guy showing a much larger field than Normandy, hence my question. I'd love long-range engagements in Grand Abbey. You don't really fix it, because the way that the maps are set up right now are straight up based off community feedback. And the community feedback is not from text, it is from it is actually from people using the map rotation filter system. So it's from what people are playing and enjoying. So what they just need to do is every so often kind of reset certain areas or try different things, so therefore you don't get a common trend with these things. But yeah, the way that maps are right now and the way that they're created and the way that it's all set up is a direct correlation to what people have voted on in the past. So it's kind of crazy, right? You're playing the game a long time. If you could add something to the game to bring the game forward, what would you add? A mechanical mode or something similar, not a vehicle or a nation. Prestige mode for profiles. Or hangar decorations. So you can feel, or custom avatars, so you can feel more focused for the game and, you know, you can see more stuff going on. Hey! Got a modification, there you go. Do you think will Turkey tech tree subtree come to Israel? There's a higher chance of it coming to Israel than other nations. If it comes. If Guardian wants to encourage small purchases, they should stop giving out top-tier test drives every update and hand out lower BR ones. It's the YouTubers that create the narrative. If you must play top tier because they tend to play those every update. Yeah, pretty much. It's a chicken egg scenario, right? So I've been trying to move around the narratives for a while, but you can't. It sucks. It's just how it is. But yeah, if you actually, the cool thing about crew skills, right, is if you actually go to your crew skills, you see field repair, right? So right here, maximum possible time to repair the tank right now for my thing is 30 seconds. So the base of it is 40, right? Now, if I ace my crew, it's 20 seconds. So if you have 0 field repair in your crew skill and I have full field repair, it takes me half the time to repair my vehicle compared to what it does for you. Pretty nuts, right? And then you realize tank driving is very similar. Stuff like leadership and range finding and all these things, it's nuts. Prestige mode with those increased RP bonuses that were supposed to come in would be neat. Adding RP bonuses based on your prestige would be cool. Yeah, to a point. Yeah, they could do that. Payday 2 did a system like that. That was kind of cool. That's the end of the tech talk, I think. Not a crazy long one, but at the same time, they can't all be 3 hours. But we got a lot done this week, which was good. And bring on the next week. We should probably have some news about the new update and stuff like that. We'll continue streaming, but we will end this tech talk here. Look after yourselves. Peace be with you. See you next time.